Rush has played a good Italy, so
yeah,
why not?
he definitely has. That's been an interesting champion for him to pick up this far. And thus far, it's not, of course, going to be a pick for Bengi unless he really wanted to surprise us this evening. Yep. And there's a Thresh ban too. So really just going into target bans here. SK Telecom is trying to open up a lot of these power picks and just see if they can overwhelm the e-mFire, it would seem.
Yep. I think the time for messing around is over. They're like, all right, well, we gave these guys a win. And we won really sloppily in game one, but now it's time to play super serious, right? Right, Monty? Now this is a time where the old SKT comes back, and we forget about the first two games.
Well, it's just weird because SK Telecom played an excellent series against the Rocks Tigers earlier this week. It was really blow for blow. They played extremely well. And then they come in tonight, and they don't look like they're on their game at all.
No. No, frankly, they just look like they're not really trying. I mean, what do you say? It was a Trundle ban against Hippo.
Yeah, it's a flex pick for them. We've seen them use it on support and in the top lane now in the first two games of this best of three. So it makes sense that you go ahead and remove that pick.
What's the last ban going to be? Maybe Fiora? Yep.
All right, so Fiora
nailed it.
Will be that final ban, but man, we have a lot still up. GP, SK Telecom has liked to play GP, but they may just go ahead and take the Alistair, which was their first pick in game number one, and they banned it on the red side in game number two. So yeah, that's what they're going to grab. This means that Gangplank is available. So is Callista here for e-mFire.
I mean, SKT, Faker's Gangplank games haven't been that great. So I don't know if you're in a big rush to grab that.
Well, it's also part of why Faker's GP games haven't been that great is the rest of his team has been sort of losing in the early game, and therefore he never has a chance to adequately scale into the late game.
Yeah.
And here we go. Tom Kench also still available. Was played by Hippo in that first game of the series to not too spectacular results. But they could just be taking the Lee Sin away, and that would leave Rek'Sai and Elise both up. Bengi will be comfortable on either of those picks.
Yep. His two most comfortable picks in general right now. I mean, he's really only played Elise and Rek'Sai all tournament long, except for one kind of bad Evelyn game.
Kind of bad. I would say that was a really bad game.
I mean, compared to today's games, you might be willing to upgrade that to kind of bad, but we'll see.
So Tom Kench and Corky, first picks here for e-mFire, denying that flex pick from SK Telecom and Corky, and not showing a whole lot about what they will be playing. Of course, we had Edge coming in and playing that Lux so far, the poke in the mid lane. And
Callista Rek'Sai, just grab the jungler and wait for the other picks.
Yep, that's almost certainly what we're going to see here, unless Bengi wants to try and play around the Elise. But generally, Rek'Sai is Bengi's best champion because he plays around knowledge so well, and the Tremor Sense is incredibly powerful when it is in his hands.
We'll see if he goes for it. I mean, the Rek'Sai makes sense. They lock in the Callista. Bang, of course, really good on that. There's the Elise, so Bengi going to go for a little bit more range CC.
Well,
he looks thrilled.
I mean, this is the exact same draft that SKT had in the first game of the series. So they rounded it out with TF and Fiora last time. Now, they will definitely not be getting that Fiora, but the Twisted Fate could be picked blind once more by Faker. It wasn't a great TF game from him.
Yeah, I feel like we're not going to see the, I don't know, maybe it's, I feel like I don't want to see the TF because it wasn't the greatest game. But they could go for it.
Braum would be a very interesting early pick. Usually you would only take Braum if you were confident that the enemy would be going for some sort of poke composition, and that's not necessarily the case.
Well, maybe they were expecting like an Ezreal or something for Faker? I don't know.
So it could be just Poppy TF here, or Poppy Victor.
I like Poppy Victor. Yeah, just put something, put Faker on something where you know he's got the capacity to be aggressive, but he's also got that wave clear. He's probably not going to die as easily. Yeah, this is just, seems like it's just a very safe, we want to win this game comp from SKT.
Yep, full of power picks. I mean, that is a lot of power picks that SK Telecom managed to acquire, and you know, with the way the draft went, more pocket bans. We see the Nidalee, Thresh, and Trundle bans, not normal bans right now. And so that opened up so many of these other powerful champions for both of these teams here.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of defensive capability. Or are they going to play into the Victor? It could be the Corki. We could just be seeing an AD carry pick here, as they could go for another Pope composition like they did in the first game of the series with Nidalee, Ezreal, and Lux.
Well, Sandra would be interesting.
There's the Braum for the disengage, as well as the ability to block the Death Ray.
Yep.
And it could be Varus. Yep, could be Varus too. Could be Lux. I think they're just going to try and do what they did in game number 1. Now, they didn't win that game, but they don't have the option to play their winning composition really from the second game of the series, considering that, what, 3 of those champions are now banned.
Yeah.
Lulu, Nidalee, and Trundle all banned this game. And so they have to figure out something else. They're going to go back to a Poke comp, which I assume they've practiced. And it's pretty much exactly the same. Tom Kench, they swap out the Nidalee for the Graves, but they still have that damaged jungler here alongside Edge's Lux and a Corki this time instead of the Ezreal, because Corki was banned in game number 1. And they've got the Braum for the disengage, using that Glacial Fissure just to get away in case SK Telecom decides to engage. And because they banned so many supports, they banned 2 supports in Trundle and Thresh, and first pick Alistar, not too much left for Guger, and that's going to be the next default disengage support.
Yep. All right, well, e-mFire have managed to take this one to game 3, and SK Telecom, I feel like if they don't win this one right now, they are in for a world of embarrassment.
It would be a massive upset.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's the 7th place team beating the reigning world champions.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be a bit of an upset, to say the least.
Especially with the way that e-mFire has kind of not even really the same Najin. It's like a bunch of old Najin subs or KT subs in the case of Edge that are coming in, players coming back from China, and it would be massive for them to take a win here tonight.
All right, well, let's see if they can do it. e-mFire with a big chance to take down SKT. Let's get in the game and see what happens.
Mother Nature, everybody wants to rule the world.
Well, the team that rules the world right now is in a pretty big risk of being deposed here in game number 3 by e-mFire, SK Telecom. A loss here would be pretty bad.
Yeah, it would be, and you know, that's tough to start out SK Telecom's season. They're already 2-2. They could fall below 50% here. And if we consider that this team, ever since the 2 SK Telecom teams combined into one, has a 77% win rate across all the competition they've been in, not only champions but international competitions as well. So falling to 2-3 would be pretty embarrassing, and certainly the loss to Jin Air was one thing. They played a couple of subs in game 1, and Jin Air had some surprising tactics, and we expected the Rocks Tigers to beat them just in the current form of this league, but losing to e-mFire, that is something that would be truly, I think, embarrassing for SK Telecom.
Yeah. And you add to that where, you know, if they would have played their main roster, if they would have played Bank in game 3 versus Rocks Tigers, I think it would have been 50-50 whether they would have won that series or not. So if you kind of give that series up by playing blank, and then you lose this series that you were almost guaranteed to win, you're going to feel pretty silly, I think, as an organization.
You know, we just haven't seen the upside to Blank, and maybe he just has these big nerves because there's a reason that they're playing him so much, and by all accounts from what we've heard, he actually has been doing very well in practice, very well in solo queue, but he is just nothing in these solo queue or in these professional games. He doesn't really have any map pressure. He doesn't really have successful ganks either. And I don't know if it's a communication issue between him and his laners, but here we go, right onto Faker early. Guger in this lane swap, finding a roam.
Yep. I think Faker knows what's up, though. Pulling back, playing it safe. There's the ping going down saying, hey, we don't know where the support is, and Faker was pretty much right. I'm guessing that he had to worry about a gank there.
It's going to be wave clear wars in the mid lane, both Edge and Faker having heal this game, so no one really in a whole lot of threat early on, and just a little bit of a roam there from Guger, and it's not really going to slow down their ability to take this turret in the lane swap either.
Yeah.
A bit of double jungling from both sides, of course.
Right.
We're slowly moving those side waves up to the point where Duke and Hippo will be able to join and help do a little bit of damage to these tier 1 towers.
Yeah, you can just see that trade. And I really do hope we see a more serious, put-together SK Telecom this game.
Well, this composition that e-mFire is running is something that SKT has really preferred for the early part of this season.
True.
The trading there, Edge does miss his light binding. Yep. Well, they've been the one playing with the poke and the Tom Kench, several carries, and now instead SKT switching gears in the second game of the week after losing to the Tigers, and this is the results. The playing against what they should know how to play against this, considering that they have used it very heavily so far this season.
Yeah. Whoa, Bengi with the flash cocoon, getting the flash out of Edge as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic actually, because now Edge is really a sitting duck for the cocoon into gravity field combo. That's going to change the way this lane plays pretty substantially, because now Faker will have all of the pressure here.
Yeah. And see, that's the kind of move that we just weren't seeing from Blank. Blank was moving into position to try something like that, but then he never really went through with it.
Yeah, that's a huge trade to make too.
Yeah, and
especially against a Lux who has no mobility in her kit whatsoever.
Well, yeah, the flash, Lux's flash is much more valuable than Elise's flash.
Yes, certainly true. And you know, Faker likes to play Victor very far forward in the lane. He always has, just using that death ray constantly to move the minion wave and deny CS with the turret and try and chip down the tower and open up the map early. So now he has the freedom to do that, because Edge cannot go out to aggressively clear the wave anymore unless he knows where Elise is.
Yeah. It's a Gromp battle. And Tom Kench is going to win that one. Ooh, Faker taking a lot of damage from Edge, actually. Turning it around and making it pretty even. And Edge, without a lot of mana, needs to be careful here. In fact, he needs to run, because there's a dive coming.
Yeah, you can see everyone from SK Telecom just on either side of him as Duke moves up to actually steal the enemy Raptors and then wander through the mid lane.
Looks like the turrets might be getting traded again pretty soon by both teams here.
Yeah, Duke taking a little bit of a risk with those Raptors, but they knew where Hippo was. They have the deep wards in, and SKT is going to be a little bit slower at taking this second turret. As we can see, Soul already in the top side, having finished that tower off, but not with a very good bounce, retaining about 5 caster minions there. Definitely could have been better.
SKT will be able to get their tier 1 and bottom as well.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see how this goes. It's going to be close, actually.
Yeah, I didn't expect the wave to push back that much.
Yep, they didn't time it right, and now we see, especially with Crush and Googer coming down to this bottom lane, there's going to be 3 people on the bottom side, and that is an unsuccessful swap. So SK Telecom, the trade they made there was, they had Duke trying to get into the enemy jungle and take that away. They got more wards in, so they got deep vision, but that came at a price of an earlier turret, as Soul just stayed steadfast in the top side. Not much there gained by SK Telecom. They couldn't get a kill in the mid lane either onto Edge.
Yeah. And at least they've got some wards down to prevent a gank from coming in. Another thing I feel like they're going to need to do this game a lot better than they've done previously in the series is control Dragon. They really didn't do any of that at all in the first 2 games.
Yeah, when they did, it was disastrous, and they were trading it for inhibitors.
That's right.
So now the deep wards come in. Crush has his Raptor buff popped. He may be a little bit too far in, and yeah, that's going to be the flash used.
A Cocoon misses, but they got the Summoner, so didn't turn out badly for SK Telecom at all.
Yeah, they were not paying attention right there to where Faker was going, and there you go. There's not going to be anything happening to Googer right there. A little bit of a Ren tap at the end as he comes out of Tom Kench. It looked like a safe play, but as long as Faker has the flash advantage, he will be pushing up. So they wanted to see how much they could do, and really they should have just stopped at the wards right there, because best case scenario for e-mFire, that was going to be a 3v2 in that topside jungle.
Right.
Also could have waited until Poppy was under the turret in order to take the camp, and then it would have been a 2v2, but instead, a little bit of a misplay there from Crush and the rest of e-mFire, and Doesn't cost them much, but it does mean that they don't have a flash and they don't have wards in the enemy jungle any longer.
Yep. It seems like as far as warding goes, SK Telecom's being much more thorough about making sure all the right places are warded at the right time.
Well, that's what
Wow.
having Bengi does for you. Hello.
Nice combo from Edge. He really predicted where Faker was going to go quite well. Didn't get the kill, but he will force Faker out of lane. Faker, again, you know, talk about knowing your limits. Didn't use either summoner spell there.
Well, yeah, couldn't have used the flash, but the heal definitely.
Yeah.
Very sure that he wasn't going to die from that combo. And there wasn't a follow-up, so there you go. Faker preserves his summoners, and let's take a trip back. It's not going to cost him much. Bengi just moving the wave close to the turret, but not close enough to get hit, and that way Faker can pick up the maximum amount of CS.
Are you a little bit surprised that they haven't tried more aggressively to gank Edge in the mid lane while his flash has been down?
I am a bit, but they've been having a lot of trouble now with the turret in the bottom side, so... And they're also trying to protect Duke and make sure he gets that farm advantage, and that's what they've done. Because of the lack of pressure from Crush in that top side, now they have a freeze going where Poppy has jumped out to a 20 CS lead, and that's been the priority here, rather than getting Faker a kill.
One of the things that they were good at in the first game was getting Hippo to overextend in top lane and die too. So this game, Hippo being a little bit more careful. e-mFire going for this dragon.
There's also no TF ultimate to catch him out right now.
And will they get it? Looks like they will, yep.
They knew Elise was on the top side of the map from the crab and from the pink wards in the river, so they take good advantage of that. And another big combo. That Thunderlord's proc does work on Lux.
Yes, it does. Works very well. Faker again, though, still not using the summoner heal or anything like that to stay alive. Wolf is there to protect his mid laner. And the light binding doesn't land, so it's okay either way. Cougar blocking the cocoon. Wolf comes in, misses the pulverize.
Another missed pull from Wolf in this series. Alistar we think of as really Wolf's best champion, and he's had some pretty crucial missed moments. He had to use his flash for that too. And no flashes burned to avoid it from e-mFire, so just a very nice win there when it comes to summoners for this e-mFire team.
We saw Wolf had some pretty off games in the early part of 2015 too, especially at events like MSI. He didn't play that great, but later on in the year he cleaned it up a lot. So puzzling to see him kind of back to that that status here early in 2016.
Yeah. Now here comes another attempt at pressure on the bottom side turret. So we'll see what SK Telecom wants to do while they have the minion waves moved up in both of the side lanes at the same time, and how e-mFire is going to distribute these lanes to respond. Bengi not using this opportunity to get deep wards in the top side quite yet. May just try and clear out. e-mFire has had very good pink wards in the river all throughout this game, and that's meant that Bengi hasn't had very many opportunities. He's going to find 2 with 2 wards right there. Cougar coming down to protect them.
Should be able to get that pink ward. Oh, one more hit. Oh, Cougar defends.
He's really scared of Corki, is what he's scared of. And
should be.
He's not going to get it. His bot lane actually recalled right there, and that meant that Corki was freed up to play around this vision, and so that's 2 wards down. Bengi couldn't get them, and he couldn't clear the pink either. Finally sneaks back in and takes it out.
Yep, catches Cougar with the cocoon there. No follow-up. Funny seeing this part of the map being fought over so much when Dragon is a long way away from coming back.
Well, but see, this part of the map, e-mFire knows what SKT wants to do. They want to get those deep wards in while they have the pressure, and instead of just allowing them to do that so they can continue to try and take down this bottom tier 1, they're playing with a very aggressive ward game here, so that SKT simply can't enter the river without any information whatsoever.
I suppose it makes sense. I mean, if you don't want them to get into your jungle, you just fight right in front of it. Keep the wards there.
Yeah, this is really nice. They're just winning the sort of vision grind here in the river.
Yeah.
It's very well played by e-mFire.
Yeah, the ward wars are being won by e-mFire for the moment. They've still got that little gold lead because that tier 1 down and bot never did go down.
It's really the biggest difference right now because we have CS differential in top and bot lane, one in favor of each of the teams. It's based on how the lane swap worked out and how the freeze worked out for each side.
low game in the making, Monte Cristo.
Oh boy, your favorite kind of game, Doa.
My favorite, 13 minutes and no kills. I love it.
Lots of lane swapping and objectives.
Killing turrets.
Being the difference in the score.
CSing.
Nice little, talking about who got the better freeze off.
Yeah, man.
It's
lane
really,
freezes. Woo.
It's really great. Great League of Legends.
This is fun.
It's exciting for me, Doa. Don't take this away from me.
I'm glad you're enjoying this series so much, Monte Cristo. At least one of us is.
Well, I didn't enjoy the first 2 games very much, but
see, I thought those were better.
This one is shaping up to be a little bit of a higher quality, at least in the early stage.
From an entertainment standpoint.
Oh, those games were very entertaining. They
Much
were
better.
Very silly.
Yes. Kind of the. I was gonna say the Monty Python of games, but they weren't really funny in a clever way. They were just sort of funny in a slapstick sort of way. I don't know.
They were the Gallagher of. It was basically prop comedy, smashing watermelons with hammers. That's pretty much what it was.
That's like NALCS, man. This was like the Three Stooges of League of Legends, I think. Oh, Benki getting caught. There's first blood going over to Soul. Just walks into the river, and because of those wards, I mean, e-mFire was ready for him.
Well, that's been the battlefield. This entire game has been over the vision around the Dragon Pit, and Bengi walks into it, finally gets caught out, and the burst there from e-mFire is enormous with the Corky Graves combination, and so easily able to be taken out. Now Bang in his own jungle. Here comes a TP.
Cougar gets knocked up. TP coming in for e-mFire. Wolf thrown back in by Fate's Call. Has to flash over the wall down into bot lane to escape it. Meanwhile, Edge and Duke dueling in the mid lane. Duke's going to have to back away, though. Wow, how in the world do you miss that light binding?
Well, Duke also had a very awkward teleport. He was nowhere near that fight, really, so they couldn't actually collapse. And just an easy disengage. They could have gotten a TP for nothing right there, SK Telecom, because they had the Fate's Call and a lot of summoners. They still had 2 flashes, so there was no need really for Duke to TP. There wasn't a lot of follow-up possible from e-mFire, but they match the TPs anyway, and now everybody without teleports, and again, just another summoner spell win for e-mFire. They used 1 summoner to take out 3 from SK Telecom.
Bad. It's getting to be in another sort of weird area for this game. It's where you're seeing these teleports, you're seeing these strange situations. Like if you saw me or if you showed me this game and took off the nameplates, I would never guess that I would be watching SK Telecom.
Yeah, they just haven't been doing particularly well. Just it's been an off day, kind of everything. In game 1, we saw Bang's Callista, where he just wasn't actually rending the objectives and securing them safely.
Yeah.
Whether that was a miscommunication with Blank or not, I don't know, but way too many of those Dragons and Barons were taken without using the rend properly, and a lot of mispositioning.
And another Dragon's going to be taken by e-mFire, and there's no opposition at all from SK Telecom. If they don't get like a turret or something out of this, I don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, second Dragon's not the end of the world. That buff does nearly nothing, so.
It's the principle of the thing, Monte Cristo. Whoa, Bang! Just getting lit up by Poppy and nearly going down to that collateral damage from Graves.
That was close. Oh!
Whoa, nice repel. Dodges. That was some quick reflexes to get that spider to safety.
Yeah, it was a really on-point Lux ultimate, too.
Yeah.
But had some vision in the jungle, so nice setup. But you can see the danger of e-mFire's poking is extreme. And e-mFire this is exactly where they want to be. They have the Trinity Force on Corky. This is where they really need to start grouping up to siege the mid lane. That has to be the next step for e-mFire. Push out this bottom wave and start actually sieging up here, because they have that big advantage. Certainly Faker has some nice wave clear, but this is the time where you want to nail that power spike and start snowballing the game.
Yep. Pretty much. Edge just doing what he can to push the lane up while he goes back and buys again.
Yeah, this is an awkward recall timing, actually, because Corky just went back, didn't actually pick up very much, just picked up another dagger, really. And now they're looking to, I don't know what they're doing, actually. They should have just recalled better and then had a 5-man siege here, but instead they recall Corky and they lose pressure on the bottom side. He has to go back bottom to push the wave again, and I hope he moves into the mid lane after this.
Yeah. We'll see. Fighting over that vision again. It's SK Telecom.
And they're making this transition from bottom very difficult. Look at what SKT's doing. They have 3 pink wards in that side of the jungle because they want to make sure that Corki can't walk there. It's actually a very good idea to deny the poke and the siege.
A little bit onto Cougar.
Yeah, you see how much longer that rotation from Sol took when he couldn't actually walk through the enemy jungle safely. And so SK Telecom just buying themselves time at this stage. They know what e-mFire wants to do.
Yeah, Hippo way pushed up in the top lane. In fact, both side lanes pushing for e-mFire right now. And it's been kind of awkward for SKT to go down and clear those two.
Sol should not be there.
Yeah, could be in a lot of trouble here. Cougar comes in to try to save him, uses that Braum ultimate. Wolf knocked up, pops his own ult, and they manage to catch Crush, who barely survives that combo from Faker. Whoa, Lux ult almost takes down Wolf, but he's able to dodge it.
Yeah, but that's not what e-mFire wants to do right now. Hippo's going to take the Abyssal Voyage into the mid lane. But SK Telecom doing a very good job playing the vision game well to get themselves back in this game. And they've got a long way to go. There's still a couple K down, and e-mFire is in the midst of a very strong point for them. But having plays like that where e-mFire is trying to wander around a dark jungle and threatening to be picked off is not where they want to be and not what they should be doing right now.
Pretty much. Edge still having no trouble clearing that wave. I don't know how much damage Faker's done. Oh wow, he waited a little bit long for that ult. Faker tries to catch him on the way out with the gravity field.
Yeah, 2 heals used.
Yep.
In that little exchange as Faker was using his heal just to be able to sidestep the ultimate after the binding faded.
Yeah. Yeah, Edge, it looked like he wasn't sure, and then he committed just a little bit late to that combo.
Yeah, it definitely did. Well, Rift Herald is now off the map. Once again, another game where he does nothing.
Rift Herald successfully kills off Rift Herald. Good job. Rift Herald wins. Oh, Duke may not win this one. In fact, he's going to get flash.
I didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't know it either. He's like, take me away from here, Tom Kench. Let's leave this place and go someplace safe together.
Well, there was no place safe right there.
No, not really.
That was fantastic. What a great interaction.
That was beautiful. Poor Duke.
He died in enemy territory too. They'll never reclaim his body for his family.
Yep. That's right. You know, in the Sarlacc in Star Wars, you're slowly. Oh, never mind. There's a fight maybe going on. Okay, so you know in Star Wars there's a Sarlacc, right? Slowly digested over 1,000 years, and you're in this pit in the ground. That was the exact opposite, where you were like immediately digested about 100 yards up in the air. Opposite Sarlacc kill for Hippo there.
The reverse Sarlacc.
He reversed Sarlacc'd him. Let's check that out again.
Yeah, how did that even happen in the first place? Duke?
I don't know. Duke tried to ult, and then he stepped back into it.
Oh yeah, we're gonna watch this. It's gonna be great.
This is why you don't cross Jabba the Kench.
Get stunned right there. I mean, if you spit him out while you're flying through the air too, the momentum on impact must be insane.
I guess so, yeah, really. It's like
I feel like that should do extra damage.
Yeah, that's like the WrestleMania move or something. You throw him down from like 10 feet up on the ladder or something, I don't know.
Well, there goes Duke's CS advantage.
Yep.
And Hippo now, a very rich and fat catfish. Coming back with more farm and...
Cougar finds himself alone in the enemy jungle. He's got to get his AD carry there to help out. Almost burns down, not quite enough though, and Sol comes in with the damage. There's Crush. Bang able to save Alistar though.
Yeah, red buff there, burn. Almost takes out Cougar, but falls a hair short.
Yep.
Good engage there from SKT, nearly a kill, and Cougar will escape. So it looks like we're going to see this e-mFire team just continue to play around Dragon. It's just spawned now here at 22 minutes. It could be number 3 for them. They have a nice vision around that objective to go ahead and move in on it.
And it's Dragon time, yeah.
They don't have the angle though, and Cougar had to go back, so SKT forces their way into the river, and Faker also does a good job of zoning out Edge.
Edge actually in a lot of trouble. Faker goes for the kill, doesn't quite claim it, but he does manage to push him away. Dragon taken though by e-mFire. They got that, and now
Hippo ulted
disengage.
back down. Edge is going to have to go back. He's going to laser the wave, though, and try and save his turret, but he doesn't hit the caster minion, so a lot of damage going to come down. Nope.
They get the minions, though. I mean,
yeah, they got the minions in the end, so...
Lucid Singularity was able to clear the rest of them out.
Only the most clear of singularities,
That's right. Lucid Singularity. That's how I prefer my singularities. Everyone knows that.
Actually,
Here we go.
Uh-oh, Crush.
Faker. Well, Faker takes a big hit via that collateral damage from Crush's Graves, and that, combined with the other wave clear, is enough to save that mid lane turret again.
Yeah, so SKT once more can't take an objective. And now Hippo has TP advantage because he used his ult instead of his TP to get back in.
Yep.
So Dragon for the kill, definitely in favor of e-mFire. And SK Telecom is in a really awkward position. They have to start getting flanks on this poke composition if they want to make this work.
It's a very close game right now, and SK Telecom finding themselves having to once again in this series come back. Looks like they'll finally, no, they won't. Maybe someday they'll get that bot lane turret, but I guess it won't be anytime soon.
Yeah, big wave. They set it up beforehand, but Soul manages to go down there and collect it before it actually destroys the turret. We're still only looking at a 2K gold game here. However, e-mFire in the driver's seat for sure, and Duke just not able to do enough with this split push, and he needs to get a flank onto these carries. He's got to control Edge in this game.
Yeah. Well, Duke did a little bit better in the lane this time around.
Well, did he? I mean, he had an advantage that was given to him via the lane swap, and then he lost it and got solo killed.
I mean, just now. He was able to push it up.
Yeah,
and not die to that Tom Kench.
Well, we can look for
speaking
the
of Tom
small
Kench,
right spots.
coming down to try to save Edge. Edge not taking quite enough damage. There's the ult onto Faker. Crush follows, nearly blows him up. It was very close. Knock up onto Crush.
Oh, nice bind.
Yeah, double bind onto Bang and to Bengi. Exhaust onto Crush has to be used. There's a Braum ult coming through. Does grab Wolf. He can be pulled out. No, he can't actually. The Fate's Call was already used.
Yeah, it was used to counter-engage that.
Guess so.
And in the end, Edge plays with nearly no mana and no HP at the backline. Faker really committing that with the flash and the heal
Yep.
to try and pick up the kill. But again, Edge just escapes with a sliver of health. And that's, you can't just kind of run into a poke composition like that. You have to be able to find a better way to engage from the side, or else they'll kite you out. And they lost the pressure here. Their wave clear is gone. Edge is coming back into the mid lane, and Faker trying to make it there in time, but this could be a mid turret, in fact, for e-mFire.
Yep.
Laser not going to hit anybody.
Yeah, pretty much. Wolf decides to go in. Hippo just grabs him right out of the air.
You can't engage like that. It's just not going to work. e-mFire, this is the position they want to be in. They have their flanks pretty much clear of wards. They're not taking damage, and they're just consistently winning the poke battles. They have pressure in the bottom side. They have pressure in the top side too. The minion wave growing ever larger. So all e-mFire has to do is sit here, and they'll eventually take the mid turret.
Yeah, they're going to. Not much SK Telecom can do about this. Duke steps up with the W, slams Hippo into the wall, but they're just too tanky right now. Hippo
just not going to work.
Crush to safety, yeah.
You cannot engage in that fashion.
The package is here. Oh, gets spotted. Oh, Bengi taking a big amount of damage. And Soul debating on bringing his package to Bengi, but looks like he'll keep it to himself for now.
Doesn't want to go for the delivery yet.
Not yet.
UPS Corki, here to deliver death.
What can Corki do for you?
Well, he can certainly win a lot of
you.
games of League of Legends and burst you really super hard.
He can. What can Burst do for you?
Well,
Finding out now. Oh, he used it.
Oh, an Aegis would do wonders actually for SK Telecom, because most of the poke damage they are encountering from Lux and Corki actually is magic, and that's usually why Corki Varus is a better combination than Corki Lux, just because it's harder to itemize against. But
yeah.
Edge has been pretty good with Lux so far in this series.
I mean, with Lux, you have more catches, right? You have more ways to get that hard CC. And I think that's why we see the scales tip a little bit in favor of the Lux picks. But damage-wise, I think Varus has been better too.
Well, it just depends on the team. Rock's Tigers really preferring Varus over the Lux.
Yeah.
So it just depends on team preference and player preference for your mid laners to which
like,
way you want to go.
It seems like with Varus' Qs, he puts out more consistent damage.
Yes, he does.
I think that's important as well.
And you have to land the Q for the Lux if you want to actually do the big poke damage, where the Varus definitely a little bit, you have a lot more chances, I feel, to get the poke damage down. And you're also, not reliant on a full combo to poke somebody out. You can just whittle them down over time. I think the Varus is just a little bit stronger right now because the upside is that you have that catch from a long range, which is more reliable than the Varus ultimate, but you have to have a finisher, and that's what e-mFire has not been doing. They've been poking people out, but they haven't been getting the kills, and that's the advantage of Lux is the ability to get those kills.
Yeah. Edge trying to push that wave up before the dragon spawns. Hippo coming down with his ultimate on Tom Kench, so e-mFire in position to grab their 4th dragon.
This is getting desperate for SKT.
It really is. They need to stop this one.
They're just not in position. Faker's not even there.
Yeah, they're just going to get it. Wow.
Okay. 3/4 dragon.
Okay then. And Wolf gets caught too. Braum out-used, but Fate's Call once again.
Yeah, that was actually a really bad Braum ultimate.
Soul ready with the Valkyrie to get out of that re-engage from Wolf. They're going to go ahead and chase this. Wolf flashes over the wall.
TP.
Faker tries to lay down that gravity field. Yeah, TP could be used. Duke comes in from the bottom. It was used. Luxalt comes in. Hippo, not the best target here. They're going to try to go after Soul. Don't kill him, though. That reverse burst. Faker in a lot of trouble. He's so low, but somehow he gets out. Kills on each side as the e-mFire tries to pursue. Hippo with one more could go for the chomp onto Duke. We'll see if he doesn't. No, he decides to die instead. And bang, picks up a kill. SK Telecom looks like they might be able to finally take this mid lane turret.
Wow, that was a sloppy fight. Bengi flash cocooned in order to force the flash from Soul pretty early.
Yep.
But the 4th dragon still goes over, and sure, they get this turret, and that's going to about make things dead even when it comes to the gold total. But SK Telecom just really bad engages. And they're not going to get much more out of this considering that Lux is there. Uh-oh.
Oh, maybe they will. Crush. Getting crushed right outside of his base.
Wow, nice dive. I didn't think they could actually make that work, especially with no minion wave, but they pull it off. So SKT picks up a kill on the retreat.
Yeah. And they don't get that tier 2 turret. I'm just kind of surprised Faker was able to grab a kill in the middle of all that.
Well, it was because Soul's flash was burned that he was actually successful in picking up that kill. So credit to Bengi as we take a look at this fight. But
let's watch that again.
Yeah, Faker gets hit by the binding and the combo very early on. Now watch this. Soul has to flash, and he actually has a really bad flash because he flashes over, which means that Faker sees an opportunity to get his combo down. Yes, he is going to fall as another Lucid Singularity takes him out, but he does get the Corki, and then here's the chance for the re-engage. e-mFire should be happy right here. They won this fight really heavily, but then they try to engage. That's not what their composition does. If they had just backed off right there, they may have been able to Baron.
Well, SKT going for the Baron.
Oh, he's
stolen! Edge gets the Baron with his ult. And now e-mFire, they got to get out of here, man. Duke gets thrown in, though. SKT doesn't want to let him get away with it. They're going to take down Edge, the Baron Thief first, nailing Hippo to the wall. It's a double kill for Duke. And SKT, they make them pay for it a bit at least.
Wow, well, but the 2 kills definitely worth it if you're going to try and take that Baron, because now they're not going to be able to put pressure on you really at all. They're going to try here onto a tier 2. Maybe they can get 1, 2 turrets, especially since their wave clear from Lux is down.
Maybe. It's a little bit tougher to kill off those Baron minions.
Corki and Graves are still alive.
Yeah, and they're going to go for it. Zoning in, they're going to jump onto Cougar actually. Wolf comes in for the knockup.
Nice
That's another kill. Yeah, SKT starting to come alive a little bit here. They're like the Incredible Hulk. I guess he just had to make them angry.
Well, it's taken them a really long time to get angry.
They're very patient, I guess. And I mean, they still are down slightly in gold. e-mFire, though, keeping that Baron away from SKT is very, very important.
Well, here comes the scariest part, though. Edge is back up, and e-mFire is running a massive poke composition with a Baron buff now, so this is their time to really make the Baron power play, and we're going to take a look at this steal. I mean, Bengi, that was so close. He tried to get the cocoon down before Edge could actually get the ultimate off, and that was a miscommunication from SK Telecom to not stop DPSing while the ult was going through the animation.
Yeah. And at least, Hippo able to zone enough that they weren't able to follow that fight as easily. They got edge, but only edge and Hippo. Like we said before, it's certainly worth it when you're keeping that Baron away from SKT.
Well, SKT's still in a rough spot. We're about to
Definitely
see perhaps a 5th Dragon coming up here for eMFire. It's under 2 minutes away, and they have all the opportunities to put on pressure before Dragon number 5 arrives on the Rift. We're back within 300 gold in this game, so surprisingly close.
Yeah.
SKT fighting back from that deficit.
Well, even if SKT wins this game, it is not exactly going to be a series to be proud of.
No, and eMFire has missed a lot of their opportunities and their power spikes in this game. In that fight in the mid lane, they certainly came out with the higher health totals and traded, got Faker, but did trade 1-for-1, and they could have just backed off and then tried to siege once again because they still had Lux, they still had Graves, and forced SKT back, but instead they got over-eager, and when Braum doesn't have ultimate up and you're trying to engage with a Tahm Kench, you're doing it wrong. Tahm Kench walking at you is not a form of engage, eMFire.
You might as well have Volibear, so at least he could throw somebody in the back lines. All right, 55 seconds until the 5th Dragon attempt by eMFire.
And they're already here. They already have the ping boards up, and now SK Telecom just has to deal with a ton of poke, and there we go.
Huh?
Wow, that was weird.
What? That's very strange. Okay, well, Soul tries to run. Duke gets way in the back lines. Bengi there to try to CC a bit. How did Faker not take damage from that?
It may have been the angle. It looked a little weird. Could have been slightly off.
Yes.
Cougar did have to burn his ultimate, but so did Wolf, and Duke did too. So eMFire still playing well, and they could just keep sitting here and poking over the wall with Lux and Corki. And they're doing a good job of controlling the vision around this. SK Telecom finally gets a little bit into that river. Hippo is caught out of position.
Yeah, a little bit. And they're going to do a ton of damage to him. Hippo on the run. Hippo on the run.
It's not a sentence you hear too often. Hippo is going to have to recall, but he has his ult.
Esports. And maybe tough to get that 5th Dragon. Duke caught up. The ult back up for Edge again. And here comes a TP from Hippo. Going to come into this.
They don't have to start this right now. They can just keep poking.
Yeah, they can.
This is unnecessary from eMFire.
They're going to go for it anyway. They want that 5th Dragon. It's taken. They have the 5th Dragon. And now SKT, they need to get out of there. They don't want to fight this. Wolf in the back lines. Big Luxalt takes a chunk out of Faker, and Crush finishes him with the collateral damage. That's a double kill for Crush now. Bang on his own, trying to be a hero. And he is doing well, but they're finally going to be able to get him. Bang trying to kite. There's a kill for Soul. And now Duke, the last man standing, they're just going to let him go. They've got that 5th Dragon. They can regroup, they can push, they can do whatever they want now.
Yeah, they're all so low that almost went SKT's way. And you can see eMFire just delighted right now that they are on the verge of taking this game and upsetting SKT, but they can't push the advantage. There is no Baron to take, and they're too low to siege right now.
It's insane. Bengi tried to get in there for the smite with Repel at the very end.
That was a good engage onto Soul. Look how well Wolf and Bang did to get Soul out of that fight, but they find Faker and just hit him with the Lux and the Graves burst. There's really nothing he can do. Bang tries to make a play in the back line, but Soul did stay alive throughout that big Alistar combo that started off that fight. If Soul had died, that would have been a very different story.
Oh yeah, and here we go. The Siege coming into the mid lane, and is there anything SKT can really do about it? They're gonna lose their turret almost immediately. Braum ult doesn't connect. Faker needs to be careful. He can get blown up very quickly. Inhibitor low. I think they're gonna get it. Yep, they are. And eMFire backing off, and they're gonna move to the bot lane now. Putting that 5th Dragon to good use already was Faker. Gotta stop getting caught by that, man.
Well, Edge has been really good about sneaking in these bindings and playing with the fog of war and just reliably hitting that combo.
Looks like they're gonna recall, and I wonder if they're gonna just separate people. Yeah, sending Hippo to the bottom lane.
So they got an inhibitor out of it. Baron up in 44 seconds, but SKT is going to have some time to push out this wave right now as everybody from eMFire recalls. Crush going to be pretty significantly delayed there by Benki, so SKT should have the ability to get this warded up before eMFire can respond.
I suppose. I mean, Crush had full health and mana at the time, so he can kind of just rendezvous. He didn't really need to go back, I suppose, right then.
Yeah, Edge, though, taking that opportunity. Picks up another needlessly large rod, adding a bit more damage, up at 669 AP right now, so really starting to hurt, although I suppose he has been all game on this Lux.
Yep, pretty much. And now, Baron is back. And the e-mFire, if they can claim the Baron, I think they can pretty much
They should
claim
not
the
start
game.
this. They just need to poke. they should not be starting these objectives.
They're not listening to you, Monty. They're going for it. Cougar trying to zone as best he can, but they got to worry about that Baron. Wolf with the big engage now. Bengi on the side. Duke gets into the back lines, and Faker just laying down the damage. Crushes all the fight. There's a kill for Bang, and here it goes. Here comes a turnaround for SK Telecom, and e-mFire, they may have done well in the series, but they are still the rookie team. Luxalt dodged.
They don't have to do the Baron. They have super minions. They have a poke composition. They can get vision control, wait for the super minions to push up the mid lane, and just methodically poke down SK Telecom. They cannot all in on the Baron because their poke composition has to kite. This is a really poor execution of a poke comp for e-mFire. It's actually super surprising that they're winning. I mean, they did it in the Dragon too. They got lucky on that drag.
Yeah. The Lux run out of the Baron. They need to regroup, wait for Hippo to come back. SK Telecom could just bait this, though. They've got the power play for the moment, anyway.
Yeah, and SKT can force this fight. They should be the ones doing this Baron, and they are.
They are, yeah. All right, the e-mFire. Another steal incoming, maybe. Luxalt is up. SKT has to worry about it. They're still going for this Baron. Got his own a little bit. There's a vision for Edge. He's going for it. Doesn't quite get it. Bengi smites it just in time. It was close. e-mFire on the chase now, but SKT with that Baron, they don't want to fight. They just want to get away. Fate's Call used. Duke zoning. And are they going to turn around? They will. They're going to go back in on this.
Holy moly.
Knockups come through. This is brave by SK Telecom. Wolf goes down. They trade 1 for 1 as Crush gets a kill. But there's a nice gravity field for Faker. Even still, e-mFire going equal, but Bang looks like he'll have enough in the end as they'll be able to kill off Hippo and win that one 2-3.
Bengi tried to tie them up right there.
Yes.
This
could be an ace.
Yeah, we'll see how far this goes. Duke's still on the run. He's got a lot of HP.
Yeah.
Bengi.
Oh, gotta be careful, man. Crush does a lot of damage, and he's gonna show it to Bengi. First hand, Duke comes in. Go after Cougar, popping that W for a little bit of speed. Uh-oh, run Crush. And are they going to be able to find him? Another Q should slow Duke down enough.
Bang is pushing up this wave towards the tier 2, and he's going to try and intercept Crush here.
He
Crush
will.
has
Crush,
to flash.
Yeah, uses that flash to get out. Should be fine.
Wow,
that was crazy.
Really close, and look at this. They get back in time to defend this super minion wave as it hits the Nexus. Bang there moves a very big minion wave into the tier 2 that will probably take it out, but Wolf is struggling. No.
Are they? Okay, he had that last pulverize. I thought he didn't, but he did.
Yeah, Wolf also didn't have the Baron buff, so just one turret, top lane not going to go down. Here we go. Do you like Dragon number 5 again? Bengi is dead now.
Yep. Up in 1 second. He's up now.
This game is absurd.
It's absolutely insane. And they're going to start that Dragon right away. They want their second 5th Dragon stack. Duke locked up with that Brawl Melt. They'll get it. Here's another 5 Dragon e-mFire, and Duke is in the middle of it, and as tanky as that Poppy is, knocks away 2, but he's still going to go down in the end.
So can e-mFire actually close this game? They have one very low Nexus turret with his 5 dragons, but a lot of the damage is still up for SK Telecom, and they have to work their way through Baron-empowered minions. It's such a strange situation.
Yeah.
But the poke is so good with the 5 dragon stack because they have the true damage burn that they're going to be constantly proccing. And we have 40 seconds left on Duke. They can try and push this down.
Yep, bulldoze their way through that inhibitor. And that Nexus turret again, very, very low. Light binding doesn't hit. Playing it cautiously. They don't have a minion wave right now, and they're a little bit lucky there because that gives SK Telecom a chance to easily defend this.
Well, they're buying time, and what Bang did right there was he used Fate's Call just to threaten the engage from Wolf, and that meant that e-mFire couldn't walk up to kill that Nexus turret. So that was actually a very good decision. And with all these super minions too, or not super minions, but Baron empowered minions, it's hard for them to walk up.
Here we go.
SK Telecom doing a good job on this defense.
Here comes a minion wave. Looks like
5
the
seconds
Nexus
on Duke.
turret. Wolf trying to stop it. They still lose the Nexus turret. Duke coming up right now, and I think e-mFire may have to get away. Duke's coming from behind.
This is what they wanted to do. This is how they should have been playing this whole game.
You're between a Duke and a hard place. Duke getting in there, and that's a big knockup. Bengi doesn't hit the cocoon, but that's a ton of damage coming in for SK Telecom. Luxalt in response, but SKT is winning this fight handily. Hippo managing to slow things down anyway, but still only Edge and Soul escape that. And SK Telecom, that veteran status at the end of the day, helping them capitalize on the fact that e-mFire kind of overstayed their welcome in the base.
And finally, we see the TP flank against a poke composition. They really did overstay their welcome in the base. Another mistake from e-mFire allows SK Telecom a shot at getting back this one, and they are probably, may not be close enough for them to actually lose right here. They've got about 30 seconds to work with. I think SKT will take the inhibitor and back out.
Yeah, if they can get the inhibitor, at least they can have super minions pushing both ways. And they'll be satisfied with that. Oh, never mind. Edge stepping up a little bit too close. And now they are in big, big trouble. Cougar throws down his ultimate, but no follow-up as most of the members are still dead. SKT may not be able to end it right now.
Okay, they still have to leave.
Dumping
another catch.
Yep. Baker gets him. That's a lot of burst. Collateral damage gets SKT low. Gonna need a bit more than that though. Big Rend takes a chunk out of Cougar. Here comes Hippo. Actually, this is pretty hilarious. Cougar comes in. So many low health members on SK Telecom. Hippo saves Graves for the moment. Gets knocked up by the Poppy ultimate. All right,
SKT, it's time to go.
That's enough,
You're
guys.
done here.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
back.
they were so close to finishing that. Actually, what really saved e-mFire was the fact that they had that 5th Dragon buff onto Corki, because every rocket was just burning SK Telecom down, and that got them low enough that they couldn't actually finish the game, even though they got catches onto both Edge and Soul. What a wacky game, Doa.
This game is not the highest skill game we've seen, but it is interesting. I'll put it that way.
SKT in the latter stage of this game has been playing their comp way better. They have been doing the Barons, and that's what they should be doing, because they need to commit to the Baron with the Callista so they don't get poked down, and we're going to see this. Great turnaround. Flash Fate's call. Edge doesn't have a chance.
Nope.
And flash in from Baker too to provide the necessary DPS. And then they look like they're backing out one more time. Look at Soul. He's just getting so much damage down with these rockets and the burn, but that was a mistake. He gets way too close to Victor, who still has his ultimate up.
Yep. Yeah, Baker able to finally get some kills, pulls himself back to a 7-3-7 stat line.
Yeah, Bang has Sterix Gage and the Maw of Malmortius this game, so this is a build that we've seen from Stitch on Samsung, and it just provides you a lot of tankiness, and against the burst of the Lux and the Corki and the Graves, this is a really good idea to pick it up this game, because it allows you, sure, you sacrifice some damage, but it gives you an opportunity just to provide consistent DPS and just live through a team fight if you get caught out.
Bang can just not allow himself to lose this game. He doesn't want his second loss on Callista to be against e-mFire.
Yeah, and also his first loss wasn't at Worlds. They only lost that one game in the finals, of course. It was during the Kespa Cup that Bang lost on Callista. I'd have to go back and look it up, though, because if that was the game that they played Scout in Kespa Cup, that would be, you know, he still wouldn't have lost with Callista with the full main roster of SK Telecom.
Yeah, it does make a difference. Well, Baron is up. The Dragon at 40. It's going to be really interesting to see how these teams split the objectives. I feel like Baron has to be the priority. What do you think?
Well, it should be for SKT. And Baron is up. There are 30 seconds now, so e-mFire has an opportunity to force a decision here.
Yeah.
But SKT, they can just straight up walk for this Baron. They have total vision control in the pit. There's that one ward at the back, but they can clear that out quite easily, and they're ever so slowly moving this minion wave, and they don't have the super minions coming at them anymore. The inhibitor is respawned for SKT.
The reverse package. gets Corki out of there. Soul having to Valkyrie to freedom.
What is a reverse package?
It's like receiving mail? I don't know. I have no idea.
It's
I don't make these names. Blame Riot,
I'm
man.
just trying to figure out what a reverse package would be. Uh-oh.
I don't want to think about it too hard.
Well, that's Fate's call used now. That's going to be unfortunate for them.
Yeah.
As they contest this Dragon. Dragon has spawned, and SK Telecom loses one of their forms of engage, so they're just going to all in right here with the Callista on the Dragon. They should be able to get it.
They can kill it quickly, and that's their first Dragon, so that's actually a big amount of stats they just picked up now.
Huge.
Yeah, they're going in, too. Nice knockup from Wolf coming from the side. Hippo already very low, has to pop that E. Gromalt comes through to try to stop the disengage. Edge hasn't been touched yet. Cocoon onto Hippo. Wolf goes in again for another knockup, and SKT just grinding away at this team. Faker with 1 kill already, goes after Soul, doesn't get him. Exhaust onto Crush. Hippo pulled back in again. Crush turns around, goes down, a kill for Bang. And SKT seems like they may finally have this. Almost lost Faker to that Lux ult, but they've got it. Edge on the run, he's gonna flash underneath his turret. SKT doesn't care about turrets at this point. There we go, knock up, Edge pushed against the wall. That's gonna be a dead Lux. And that is gonna be an ace and the end of one of the most bizarre series I have ever cast here in Korea.
This series
strange.
was something else, though.
Yeah.
I mean, credit to e-mFire, though. They really did push SK Telecom to the brink, and even though SKT did not play particularly well today, they do enough in the end, and they finally pull it together, finally play their team composition right to take the win.
Well, they get the win. It was not exactly high tier. It was wild. It was wacky, and at the end of the day, it's a win for SK Telecom, and that's all that matters in the stat books, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a long series, too. We've been here for 3 hours since this started. Very long games, and we've got another best of 3 for you later tonight. SKT, we thought they'd take this one easy, but e-mFire definitely puts up a fight and takes it nearly to a win. They got 5th Dragon twice and just couldn't quite close.
Yep. Still, I mean, it's a loss, but it's a series I feel like you can't be too disappointed with if you are e-mFire.
I don't know. They were so close. If they had played around the Dragon and the Baron just a little bit better, I think they could have won.
True enough. Well, SKT takes it anyway. Not the cleanest win, not the most honorable win. Coma's done. He's like, I'm done. Forget
Goodbye.
this, I quit.